The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chen Wei stepped forward, carrying what appeared to be nothing more than a small potted plant. The assembled delegates, beings of crystalline structure from Vex Prime, armored insectoids from the hive clusters, and the serpentine naga from the gas giant moons, regarded the human with barely concealed amusement. "This," announced High Chancellor Zexkar, his crystal form refracting the chamber's light into dancing rainbows, "is humanity's contribution to the terraforming initiative?" Chen nodded solemnly, holding up the unremarkable green plant with its broad heart-shaped leaves. "May I present Epipremnum aureum, commonly known as devil's ivy or golden pothos." The chamber erupted in what could only be described as alien laughter. The insectoids' chittering filled the air like a swarm of angry locusts, while the Naga's hissing created a symphony of derision. Even the usually stoic Vex crystalline delegates resonated with frequencies that translated to barely suppressed mirth. "Humans," rasped General Thexmore of the hive clusters, his mandibles clicking in amusement, "have clearly overestimated their biological understanding. This weed cannot possibly compete with our contributions." The general gestured toward his own specimen, a towering, bioluminescent organism that pulsed with aggressive energy, its root system visible through the transparent containment unit, spreading like metallic veins through specially formulated soil. "The Devour root can process any organic matter and convert barren rock into fertile ground within days," Thexmore boasted. "It has already proven successful on 17 dead worlds." Chancellor Zexkar's form shifted to a deeper blue, indicating approval. "And our crystalline moss creates atmospheric processors, while simultaneously establishing mineral extraction networks. What, pray tell, does this human vegetation accomplish?" Chen's expression remained unchanged. "It survives." "Survives?" The word came out as a dismissive hiss from Naga representative Sisandra. "Our thermal kelp thrives in temperatures that would melt most carbon-based life forms. It doesn't merely survive, it conquers." "With respect," Chen replied, "survival and conquest are not the same thing. May I demonstrate?" Without waiting for permission, he carefully removed the plant from its pot. The delegates leaned forward, expecting some dramatic transformation or hidden technological marvel to be revealed. Instead, they watched as Chen simply placed the plant in a container of water. "Water?" Thexmore's compound eyes glittered with disdain. "This is your demonstration? We have species that can survive in liquid methane at absolute zero." "I'm sure you do," Chen agreed. "But can they survive everywhere?" Over the following weeks, as the terraforming initiative prepared for deployment, the alien delegates' confidence soared. Their engineered superplants performed exactly as advertised. The Devour root consumed organic matter with terrifying efficiency. The crystalline moss spread across mineral deposits like living circuitry. The thermal kelp established itself in the most hostile environments imaginable. Meanwhile, Chen's humble pothos sat quietly in its water container, occasionally sprouting new leaves. The aliens had all but forgotten about it. The first deployment world was Kepler 442c, a planet with Earth-like conditions but completely barren of complex life. The alien plants were introduced with great ceremony, their progress monitored by orbital satellites and surface drones. Initially, everything proceeded according to plan. The Devour root spread rapidly across the southern continent, converting dead soil into rich earth. The crystalline moss established atmospheric processing stations throughout the mineral-rich northern regions. The thermal kelp colonized the polar regions where geothermal vents created perfect growing conditions. Chen's pothos was almost an afterthought, placed in a small research station greenhouse with basic water and fluorescent lighting. 6 months later, the first concerning reports arrived. The Devour root, having consumed all available organic matter, had begun to show signs of stress. The crystalline moss, efficient as it was, had started to destabilize as it depleted key minerals. The thermal kelp, designed for extreme conditions, struggled to adapt as the planet's climate began to moderate due to the terraforming process itself. But in the research station, something unprecedented was happening. The pothos had not only survived but had begun to spread. Cuttings taken from the original plant had established themselves throughout the station. More remarkably, when researchers accidentally broke off pieces during routine maintenance, those fragments had taken root wherever they landed. Dr. Sarah Martinez, the lead botanist, sent increasingly excited reports back to Earth. "It's incredible," she transmitted. "We've placed cuttings in hydroponic solutions, soil, even just stuck them in glasses of water. They all grow. The plant seems almost indestructible. We've had power failures that killed our carefully controlled environments, but the pothos just keeps growing." As the months passed, the situation became clear. The alien superplants, for all their impressive capabilities, were specialized organisms. They excelled in their designed environments but struggled to adapt when conditions changed. The devour root required specific nutrients and died when they were exhausted. The crystalline moss needed precise mineral compositions and failed when the balance shifted. The thermal kelp couldn't survive as the planet's temperature normalized. But the pothos endured. More than endured, it thrived. When the research station's hydroponic systems failed, the plants adapted to soil cultivation. When soil nutrients became depleted, they learned to survive in pure water. When lighting systems malfunctioned, they grew longer vines seeking available light sources. When researchers accidentally exposed them to different atmospheric compositions, they simply adjusted. 2 years after deployment, Kepler 442c told the story. The once promising alien colonies had withered to small, struggling populations in their optimal zones. But the pothos had quietly spread throughout the research station, then beyond, hardy and unassuming. It had established itself in environments that the alien plants couldn't even survive in. The breakthrough came when Dr. Martinez made a startling discovery. The pothos wasn't just surviving, it was terraforming. Its root systems were slowly but steadily improving soil composition. Its leaves were producing optimal atmospheric mixtures for Earth-like life. Most remarkably, it was creating microclimates that made the environment more suitable for other Earth plants to take hold. When the Galactic Council reconvened 3 years later, the chamber was much quieter. The alien delegates studied their reports with what could only be described as grudging respect. "How?" Chancellor Zexkar asked simply. Chen smiled, holding up a new cutting from the now thriving Kepler colony. "We didn't engineer it to be the strongest or the fastest or the most efficient. We chose it because it's adaptable, because it survives, because it finds a way." He paused, looking around the chamber. "Your plants were designed to conquer specific environments. Ours was designed by millions of years of evolution to survive anywhere. It doesn't need perfect conditions, it makes conditions perfect for itself and eventually, for everything that comes after." The silence stretched until General Thexmore spoke, his voice lacking its earlier arrogance. "And the other Earth plants?" "Following in its wake," Chen replied. "The pothos prepares the ground, and the rest of Earth's biosphere follows. Not through force or superior design, but through patience, adaptation, and an utterly stubborn refusal to give up." As the session ended and delegates departed, more than one alien observer was heard muttering about the deceptive nature of human weakness. They had learned a valuable lesson about the difference between impressive engineering and unstoppable persistence. Back on Kepler 442c,